Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear it, Brian.
Right.
Does it, I don't care.
I haven't heard anything.
Right.
All right.
They have choice of meat, by the side.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of good really nice sleep. Yeah. Is Laura coming today? Or what?
Laura's got another commitment, so she won't be here tonight.
I had a question or two that
You wanna email her?
I don't know. I'll look and see if I think they're important. But I can do it else. I literally live down one road from them.
Okay, 7 p.m. We're gonna call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gary? Here. Jason? Here. Ken's here, absent Mary and Cara. We should approve someone to record the meeting minutes. Any suggestions?
Only because they've done it in the past and it's pretty good at it. I would say maybe Karen could do that.
I've had a paper to me, not even kidding.
That's funny. I thought you were gonna volunteer yourself and you volunteered your
I
wife.
thought you said it.
Suck. I'll be the first to admit it.
Do you have a pen and paper up to her?
I don't have a
Get
pen
some-
of paper, I think.
Get some paper out of the copy
Might
machine.
be some scrap here. Nope.
Look in the office. To put a new paper. So, do you need the top of this?
No, that's other stuff.
It's called to order at 7 p.m. We did the pledge of allegiance. Roll call is Gary, Jason, and Ken present. Mary and Cara absent. Attorney's absent. And I think we need a motion for the recording.
Accept the
of minutes.
agenda.
Yeah, I think Gary, you made that motion.
I did.
A second.
It's
You're-
just taking notes for the
Meeting,
clerk, right?
correct.
It's not actually doing the minutes, it's just giving notes.
You're just gonna make a written record of what we do.
Okay,
And then
It's
somebody
recorded.
will
okay,
put it into the system.
all right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes carry. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented or with changes? We need to add anything, delete anything?
Yeah, Ken, I put some notes under my trustee report, just because I wasn't sure if this was gonna make the agenda, but I think we should add kind of an update and or discussion of the renewable energy issue, probably old business. I didn't see that on there. Look last.
Isn't that under P10? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, I just stuck some notes and a supporting document under my report,
Oh,
just to get it in there, but I think that it would be worthy of discussion on unfinished business, though.
I actually, at one time, I thought I saw something on there about that, where they talked about the two, resolution being passed by the county. But we haven't, I don't think we've received the actual thing by Tasha to go forward yet, but yeah, we can, add that. Unfinished business, I4.
Sure.
And I don't see unless I'm missing it.
I saw it earlier, on one of the earlier versions.
There's a report on G7 from the planning commission. Is that what you're referring to, the county planning commission update?
Yeah, that's there.
Yeah, that was just their concurrence with the ordinance that
Right.
went through.
Yeah, that's just the, yeah, that's where the concurrence was. That's what I read. The next step is for all three of them coming from the township board, and we discuss them and decide what we're gonna do.
I'd like to also add, I don't see it on here, discussion about transfer station, equipment.
J2 has transfer station regarding cost of small building and tire container, semi-trailer, porta john, cost of attendant. Is that what you're looking for?
You see,
J2 and new business?
yeah, okay, that's
We
good.
got that?
Yep, that's good. I missed it. Thank you.
Karen, we're just adding to I4,
Mhm. Renewable.
renewable energy.
Yep.
So the motion is gonna be moved to approve the agenda. With the addition of I4 for renewable energy update.
So moved.
Second,
Station made the motion, Gary second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Ayes carry. Public comment? Any public comment?
I have a request.
Okay,
Other than right now, I can hardly hear you guys. Can you use your microphone? Can you all use your microphone?
can you hear me?
Now that you're next to your microphone, I can. Yeah. Thank you.
test,
You, I don't hear.
test.
I hear that, but you're far away from your microphone.
I'll hold it like this. Is that better?
A little. Is that microphone strange?
It's on.
Yeah,
I'll talk as loud as I can.
Thank you.
Karen?
Yeah, I was just wondering if, there's any thing going on with Saddle Lake subdivision problems. From the complaints that we turned into the office.
Complaints that we've been given over 5 years. Nothing's been done to the point where someone's life has already been threatened now.
Could you elaborate on that in the form of just public comments? Just,
Can you state
Yeah,
your
yeah.
name? Somebody?
Yep.
Daniel Williams, I live on Sycamore Street, so it's up on it. We've got a few different problems here, some of them, people that are living here, that, shouldn't be living there, for one thing, they've never got permits. They don't have the, proper utilities, they're not camper trailers. The other one who thinks he owns the area, he can do whatever he wants, dropping off tree stumps, blocking roads, threatening people's lives now. And other people who, scrap metal and stuff that are just totally messing the neighborhood up. They've been approached before and they're still not making any progress.
Those gentlemen on Elm Street, you go ahead and I open up my garage door to go ahead and do my morning walk. And usually I have a nice woodsy smell. Every time they go ahead and they burn either the plastic or the wire, the copper, and the coating off the copper wire. I can smell it and it just really reeks. And you should be able to smell it at your house too. You know, it's just ridiculous because they got a great big trailer. They've been told to pick up the damn garbage. They did. They put it in piles and that's where they left it. They have not moved it. And now the animals are going in there and scattering it crap all over.
Do you have an address of this?
50889 Elm Street,
Was there anything that you wanted to add to that?
and he keeps digging up his septic tank. And I don't know if it's because it's overflowing or if it's not working properly, but he digs it up. I don't know if he takes any of the waste out of the septic and dumps it somewhere else. But he has done multiple, that fire lane used to be a really nice fire lane until they moved in. And now it's rutted out. When it rains, you can see the oil coming to the surface and the water puddles. And my cat goes out there every day. She used to look at it, that water puddle, until now.
Most of the scrap is on Dan Burgett's property also,
Mm-hmm.
and Dan Burgett's asked them to move it, and it's not moving.
And may I add one other thing, is they're taking vehicles in, repairing the vehicles. They're there for 2 days and then they're gone,
Or they
So-
scrap it.
or they scrap it, either or. So,
It's not illegal for them to work on the vehicles and then scrap them if they so choose.
sir, from him, nobody can go ahead and have a business. Okay? Nobody
I don't
can
think
have
it
a
requires-
business.
If he's just repairing a vehicle,
That's what he said with the trailer. He was just doing it for a friend. That trailer
He
is
had
still
a
there.
problem on him because he had stolen property on his property.
I'm well aware. And
So
he's been charged for that.
but it's like he keeps doing it. He keeps bringing other stuff down, he's got a Hummer or whatever that's on Dan and Mary Burgett's property, tucked behind all the stuff where nobody can see it. You know, who knows if that's stolen?
Okay, well. If someone reports a Hummer stolen and we have reasonable suspicion to believe that it was him, we can investigate.
Well, you know,
I
where-
can't just willingly go onto his property to start running
Well, it's
tags
not
and
even-
tags.
Pretty. Where it's stored at, it's on Daniel and Mary Burgett's property.
He only owns one lot, right where his house.
He
is.
only owns 2 lots, and that's exactly what his house sits on.
Okay.
And the other continuous problem is another gentleman on Lake Street, who's got property, he's dumped tree stumps off, in the road. They
Right,
can't get a fire truck through
we have
there.
addressed the tree stump issue.
They're still there, they've been there for
I
months and months.
understand vehicles can get through there still.
And recently, he came by and he's caused trouble again, he's even threatened this gentleman's life.
I know, I was out there, I took the complaint.
And we've submitted paperwork showing all these places violations they're in and everything, and we're still not seeing anything done. People will sign those papers and when they were turned in.
Okay. Well, I'll get copies of those from the
Nothing
township
is
board and we'll review them. Okay,
Do we have those notes?
Yes,
Do we?
If I may make a comment, my name is Paulette Milky. I live 08969 Lake Street over by Satellite Subdivision. And I understand the issue's been addressed with the tree stumps, but I have a house there that we're trying to do construction with and whatnot. So when we're coming down Sycamore, it's so like just so bumpy and everything. We can't take trailers down there. So I guess I'm just wondering what is gonna be done about it, cause we're trying to do everything. We are right legally, and it's really frustrating when there's other people there that aren't doing it appropriately, and it's affecting essentially what I'm trying to do with our home.
Reason Sycamore is torn up because we have other people that are up there living in camper trailers with no sewage, no electric, no water,
All in porta potty.
hauling porta potties and pump trucks in and out of there every day.
In addition to that, out of cost of my own pocket, I have put down 3 semi-loads of crushed concrete material on Sycamore. And the people in the campers have done their very best to decimate all of it and spin tires through all of it.
Which is why we started using Oak Street, but now that the tree stumps are there, I can't get a semi through there or large trucks through there because there are 4 literal tree stumps. I understand you can get a smaller vehicle through there.
Yeah, personally,
But-
my truck is mirror to mirror with the electric pole and the tree stumps.
As far as trying to make more progress with my property, it's starting to become a hindrance.
Mhm.
So I'm just, I would like to voice that.
It's also a hazard, due to the fact also that my wife is on oxygen and mobility care. And if I need to have an ambulance or emergency service back there, I don't think they'd be able to do it. That's been part of my complaint in the past 5 years. Nothing's been done.
We got that?
Yep.
Can we move those stuff, the township? If they're in the fire lane?
I'll check into it and let you know. I'll get you a definitive answer.
Get someone to volunteer to go up and pick them up if we can do it.
If someone volunteered, would it be possible?
Should be.
I wouldn't see a problem with it, but if it's property,
They're in the road.
Just like, maybe like more onto his own property?
no, I understand, yeah. I would have to check into it, make sure
Okay.
there's nothing,
Even if you only had it on one side of the road, the last I saw, they were on both sides, right?
Right
Stumps
now,
on both
it's all
sides?
on one side.
They're all on one side, okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the biggest issue, like there's the telephone pole, then there's like the 3 stumps, so even if you wanted to like go off to one side, you can't, cause there's a literal
Yeah.
telephone pole there.
I'm able to
think
get my
I gave
person
you a
back there,
picture
but
of
I don't know that a fire truck or a semi truck, something, a bigger apparatus can fit through there. So,
I don't.
I'll figure out what can be done about the stumps.
Well, I'm concerned about a fire truck or an ambulance or something that has to go down the road to get somewhere.
Has Dan Burgett filed a complaint about items on his property?
He signed the complaint.
I've never received contact or complaint. But I don't know if they've submitted anything directly to you guys, so.
I have not seen it, but. Well, sorry for your troubles. We'll do whatever we can to address it as quickly as possible.
Thanks.
Karen?
Well, mine is far less dramatic. I was wondering about the unfinished business section on the agenda. Because it's showing a resolution 2025-00X. But that was finalized on March 29th as resolution 2025-008. So I don't know why it reappeared. And I see the other thing that reappeared was truth and taxation information that came on May. And no action was taken at the time, but I thought it was decided that that topic was gonna be rolled into the July 15, either the public hearing or that meeting or both. On the other hand, the board has not finished the business of battery energy storage systems. It looks like you're adding it to the agenda tonight now. No one has a crystal ball, but back when the ARPA decisions were being made, they were rushed and later regretted, but this time we seem to be stalled to a point where we could be in danger of missing $1 million grant money. Just want to make sure we don't miss that. Could you make passage of a workable ordinance contingent upon a commitment from Eagle for the $1 million grant, as well as a written community benefit program from Vesper? Although Vesper has offered to provide special training to the fire department in the future, all I've heard so far from our personnel regarding lithium-ion batteries is that you have to let them burn out. Shouldn't we also plan for a potential evacuation in advance of finalizing an ordinance? And while I do think that some of the fire department budget woes were self-imposed by well-intended mission creep, I personally prefer funding via grants, first of all. Possibly this BESS secondarily. Either of those would be preferred over increasing property taxes, which the next public hearing is about. I want to thank Kate Schrank for gaining cooperation with the fire department personnel in order to better qualify for emergency services grants while waiting to find out about the battery storage revenue commitments. And now last month, I know Treasurer Phelps asked Deputy Latz to add a line to tally blight responses to his monthly report. And I know Trustee Gruss refers actual complaints to Deputy Latz. It's always been the township's desire that blight enforcement, just plain blight, like garbagey stuff, be self-directed by our contract card. Should we entertain a minimum quota in order to kind of shake this up so that our residents see that their concerns are being addressed? From what we just heard, you probably have bigger fish to fry, but we don't want to forget about the blight. And I did hear a webinar about lithium-ion battery safety. And I was able to get a question in about why are they telling us that they're hazardous and yet offering grants to put in large-scale facilities. And they said it's because there is such a great need for energy storage. It is necessary to keep up with all the consumption, and that the technology being used for these installations is improving all the time. So basically, they are okay with it. I know we have people concerned with the safety, but our state does think this is the way to go. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Dixie?
Based on the email that came back from Vesper yesterday, we do not have enough information to make an informed decision on any of this. They state just that the balance sheet shows we need a detailed information of how much is going to be in Columbia Township, how much might be in Arlington Township, in order for us to make a determination as to what the potential amount comes to Columbia Township. And like in regards to that $1 million, from what I've read through Eagle, that money has to, whatever dollar amount that you get for the grant, it has to be used for something that's in addition to what you already have. So it's not like we can lower property taxes and use that. One example that they give is that, let's say, for example, you actually pay for waste removal. They're saying you cannot substitute these funds for your waste removal. Now, if you enhance the program by saying, okay, we're going to pick up waste every 2 weeks as opposed to once a month, then that additional amount, that enhancement is what the funds could go for. And they also gave an example about a fire truck. And there's this one let me see if I can find it. This one, township that had received, grant money for a fire truck, but it says fire department upgrades. This is, Branch County, Ovitt Township Supervisor. And he's saying a new fire truck for shared coverage for the neighboring township. So basically, it's not just a fire truck for them, they've expanded it. So I think that we really need to check into that to see whether and they give examples of, let's say, parks. Okay, let's say we put in a new park. Then what's gonna happen is we're gonna have to maintain that park. So that means that the dollars are going to come out of Columbia Township current tax dollars in order to mow the grass and everything else going forward. So I really think that we need to research that a little bit further.
Kate, you had your hand up?
Yeah, under new business for the minutes from last month, there's a hearing scheduled July 15th, on the millage issue with respect to fire and emergency services, right? Part of that hearing is gonna be the risk assessment that we're working on with fire department. That, we talked about that and it's not in the minutes, that part, we're not just talking about millages at the hearing next month. We're talking about the fire department is presenting a community needs assessment, an equipment needs assessment, a financial assessment. In order for the board to get all the information in one sitting. Do you remember that conversation that was on the, but I haven't seen any mention of it in the minutes. And we're working on it. So I just want to make sure when we show up next month that you're ready to receive a presentation from JC. Because I think it's gonna help you make a decision.
Any other public comment? Consent agenda. Meeting minutes from the previous meeting. May 20th, 2025. There been any changes that we need to make to those meeting minutes?
I looked through and I didn't see anything that needed to be addressed. Unless somebody else,
I didn't see anything. Jason?
No.
Expenditures, any comments on the expenditures of the payroll? Or accounts payable?
Just a quick question. Out of curiosity, there's 16.15 and 38 cents to PNC Bank. What would that be?
Well, no, we need
Do you know
to,
as former treasurer what that might be?
Karen
Some little fee or something,
may have opened something.
Seems like a big fee, but
How much was it?
1,615 and 38 cents.
oh, I thought you meant $16 and
No,
15 cents.
$1,615 and 38 cents.
PNC Bank.
I just happened to see that and was curious what that was for. But I can ask Mary.
It could have something to do with the investment she's doing.
Seems like we're supposed to make money on that, not spend it.
Yeah. Have a thought, you were.
Well, I'm thinking possibly it's the machine that they run the checks through for taxes that reports everything. I mean, I'm just guessing.
Oh,
Did they get that now?
I know that they were talking about it, so I'm thinking that possibly that might be what it is.
And I thought that was a monthly fee, but still. Yeah, I don't know if they ever got that.
Cost that amount.
I thought there was an option to either rent it or buy one yourself.
Oh, don't.
And I don't know if that's been done.
Maybe we bought it. I'll ask Mary. It was just curious. No, you don't have to get sidetracked.
I have a question that's a little over $5,800. And is to Diligent Corporation. Are you familiar with that at all?
I think that's software applications. That does sound familiar. That might be iCompass. I think it
Okay,
is.
okay. I know I've seen it before, but I couldn't recall what it was.
So you guys are just gonna follow up with Mary?
Yeah. No other question on payables for me.
None for me either.
Treasury report, I see we made $4,000 in interest last month. Nothing on treasury report?
Nope.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Including the meeting minutes, expenditures and treasury report?
So moved.
I'll second.
Oh, this is all the money thing. Roll call vote, Gary,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Ken, yes. Information reports, fire department, JC?
The reports are before you, nothing's changed, we got our butts kicked for the structure fire. The one point that from that structure fire earlier in the month was. We immediately called out, or what's called it's a. Second alarm to get more resources coming to us. I think we had 9 departments on scene. And the comment was made, the personnel, the apparatus, there was a lot of apparatus there, but the personnel numbers total were a one agency response years ago. So there was 9 agencies there, but there was enough people to just barely do the job. We used to have more people at all stations, and now that's just not, we have to rely heavily upon our neighbors. Otherwise, we won't get the job done, and that goes back to what Dixie was saying a minute ago about the fire apparatus being in conjunction with somebody else. That's the standard way of doing things now. It can't just be for us. We have to needs assessment for beyond our borders. What would help us to help other people. Today, we went on a structure fire for Lee Township. They had 2 people respond to theirs, and we had 2 more of ours to add. Now, luckily, it was a garbage pile that used to be a structure that someone lit off to try to clear. But it had it been some place that someone was living, that could have been a bad day. So just a side note, storms are coming in tonight, so be careful. Know that if you see a power line down, call dispatch. No, don't touch it. But know that we might show up. Put a cone there, tape it off and leave. We don't have time to sit on those. We won't be sitting on those. It's called common sense. Don't lick it. So, or you could have a very enlightening experience.
Oh, come on, I can knock some sense in somebody.
That structure fire was on baseline near 51st and a half, just west of there, correct?
Yep.
And I'm assuming most of that was tankers that were maybe with a couple pumpers, because there's no hydrants or lakes quick around
Not
there.
right, yeah, we had water support.
Yeah.
We had an aerial there to assist. I mean, everybody respond, and we had a patient that needed help. And thankfully,
Yeah, like-
we called for an all response from Lee Township. They sent us their medical. And that was good because it was my brother and myself and Joe on the initial response, and then we had a cadet that was running accountability. That was all we had from our department to show up. It was just, no one was around. So.
Interesting.
It's not the way it used to be where, the page would go off and we don't go.
We're qualified.
Yeah, well, so. Rules and regulations and this isn't, and that's, and yeah.
Deputy Sheriff, Jeremy?
I sent the report over to you guys, 68 total calls responded to in the township. That's not to include assist to other agencies. Certain things we don't pull numbers and complaint numbers for, like our POLs. I try and note the ones that I get sent to on my report. But we get sent out for POL on a suspicious vehicle or people hot riding down the road. If the sheriff shows up in the area and we don't locate anything on it, don't pull a number. So, 68 was the total number of complaints taken and documented, but that's not to say there weren't a handful more with other small complaints out there.
County Commissioner?
Should have received a report from, wanted to check, from Karen, see if, make sure you got them. Don't wanna read the whole thing and make her write it all down. But, it should have been sent by our administrative assistant. So I only have two things I want to mention. One being that, AI right now is a big thing that we're working on. And basically at the county level right now and kind of work into how we're gonna get it spread out to where, you know, you can use it, fire department, anybody that can use it. And the second thing would be, that Sheriff Abbott, I don't know if you heard that, but the received the state of Michigan, the Sheriff of the Year award.
Right.
He's the man. Yeah. I told him we're not gonna pay him anymore. Here's your reward. Yeah. So that's all I have. Thank you.
One of the things that you had mentioned, was the AI, the new, that's one thing that's sucking up all of this energy. And it takes a lot of energy to run this up on top of everything else that we have. So if we don't get some alternative energy, there's probably gonna be more brownouts, whatever, just because the grid can't handle it all without additional resources. So that's one of the things that on this webinar that we looked at is why they are allowing or offering grant money to help establish these solar panels, battery storage, wind, the different energy sources, because it's technology and it's that's building this. And so if we don't have it, it's not gonna work.
Some of these facilities out there, they show you how big some of them were, like acres and acres.
Correct.
You know, that are contained within this AI stuff, so
Yeah.
yeah. So it takes a
Yeah.
lot.
Road Commission?
Steel coat they're starting Thursday, when, weather permitting. County Road 388 from Bloomingdale to Gobles is gonna be ground and resurfaced this summer, but we don't have a date yet. It's a part of it's a state grant, so the state's involved in. The bids has been approved, but the date of when we don't have yet, so. Sometime this summer that will be, and then 388 from the water all the way to Kalamazoo County. Actually, Kalamazoo County is nice, you can go all the way to Wing Stadium, so. On a big road. And then we got a alert earlier today. I talked to Brett just like a couple hours ago about storms could be kind of nasty tonight, so beware. That's all I've got.
Planning Commission, Kate?
Pardon?
I said Planning Commission, Kate?
Oh, I didn't know that it's a county update.
Yeah, that county updated about all you had that
Oh, okay.
was on it.
Just gonna repeat my request that, we are expected to present, the fire department needs analysis at your next board meeting. Okay. The same information that we're presenting at that meeting will help the fire department going forward qualify for grants, but also at the same time, help you all make a decision about current needs.
We had a good meeting with the planning commission last week. We went over redoing the our bylaws. We talked about renewable energy. We talked about the fire department. We made assignments to look into the short-term rental issue that we have and try to develop something from our other neighbors and get an idea of what we might be looking at. So we expect to do more of that. Do anyone want to talk about the report on the board? Gary,
Report on,
your monthly report, you want to?
well, I thought maybe we should cover under the county planning commission update on on their May 28th meeting that they did, unanimously pass both, zoning ordinances, 2025-01 and 2025-02. So those were approved by the planning commission, as presented. So those are at least on the books and out of the way.
We should get those next month.
Yep.
Jason? Anything?
I think most of what's in my report falls under the new agenda item we added on I-4, so I'll wait for that.
On my report in here, but I do have an update spent today in court, in Papa probate court on a zoning issue and blight issue that's been going on for 2 years now that I've been working with the people. Unfortunately, we ended up in court because, some of the people didn't want to cooperate with us. So we had, the judge, have a hearing on it today, and they found in favor of the township for removal of all the trash and RVs and junk that are there. And they'll have 60 days to do it, and if they don't do it, then the township in the judgment will have the authority to go in and take care of it ourselves. So probably our deputy will be called in like he was the last time we did this on 8th Avenue. This happens to be on 51st and a half Street by Baseline. Probably be called in again along with the state police maybe, to allow these people to be removed either voluntarily or with some help. So by the end of August, that should be cleaned up. That's the only addition I have.
Okay, we're gonna move on to emergency services. Jason, excuse me, JC.
Whatever I am, for whatever.
I'm thinking about asking him a question, then I decided that we'll get onto this. I'll ask it when we get down to it.
Well, I have like several things on there just to keep it in front of our brains. Station 1, I've got quotes out, I've only got one back for putting new lights in there so we can actually see what's going on. I thought we had progressed forward with it, but my guys have been stonewalled by the company that's doing it. So once we can see what's going on in there, then I'll be able to make an assessment on heating and, because I'm pretty sure that the furnace doesn't work anymore. And I know the plumbing doesn't work. So we'll be working on getting those things ready before the snow flies again. I know it's silly because it's 150,000 degrees right now, but we gotta be thinking about keeping the heat on in the winter time. So station 1, and then it's just an ugly eyesore to look at. It needs a paint job, something fierce. And look, that kind of things. I'm working on those things as possible. Station 2 is in slightly better shape, but there is rust and paint needs and so forth. I have in my receipt packet, the stuff from Jensen's that we finished up all the fixing to the septic now, and that's all taken care of. We are fully operational, no issues since that was taken care of, so that's a good thing. Other than now that I've got a partial driveway, gravel driveway now because getting chopped through the asphalt to get to it. Again, with the vehicle age, status of the vehicles, they're getting older. I was trying today to try to find some ways to even grab an old vehicle from somebody else, and they said, well, I'd love to give you one, but we have to keep our old vehicles 500,000 miles on it because we can't buy new ones. So they're trying to do that. Parking lot needs to be fixed yet. Ground's still not too bad, but we need to start thinking about getting rid of some of our blight. Well, not blight, it's almost blight. That shed there behind station 1 is a piece of garbage. That needs to be degarbified. That type of thing. What else I got on there? We've been working with Joe and Kate have been working on grants getting all that information up and around, and she gave me a packet tonight to look it over. And I'm actually looking for, what does the public think that we need to do? I'd love to have input on that. We have a Facebook page. You can weigh in there, or you can tell me straight up. I don't, if you want us to do more, you gotta let us know and I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna make up my own agenda. I've been doing it now for over 30 years, so I have a good idea what I'm doing, but
I heard someone not back about someone was trying to arrange for an ambulance service on this side of the lake.
well, so I was talking with the ambulance guy today in med control. So one of the things I do is I sit on the county med control authority. And the only way that we'll get an ambulance on this side of the lake is if we put it here ourselves, and that's not financially feasible. An ambulance. Now, Joe on our is a quick response guy. He's medically licensed. Our teams are medically licensed. We get there and hold the call down until the ambulance gets there. Go ahead.
Okay, in regards to that, I noticed that the report has changed from Van Buren County Dispatch. Before they used to have the times on it, EMS did not go up, where this month the report shows that Columbia Township went to 23 calls, EMS went to 23 calls. So did the ambulance come for all 23 calls into Columbia Township?
If that's what the report says, there wasn't one time that I can think of where we didn't get an ambulance. There was a couple of times where it took a minute.
So of all the calls that in Columbia Township or EMS, the ambulance came from Pine Grove to Columbia Township 23 times last month.
I can't tell you that's where they came from. Life responded to us, whether they came from Pine Grove or not is, there were several times, and I was telling Ken about this earlier, in med control today, we were talking about, there was 3 or 4 times this past month, where there wasn't one ambulance available in Van Buren County. Covert was out, South Haven was out, all of Van Buren was out, all of Life was out, everybody was out. And so when that happens, you're gonna get them coming from Allegan, you're gonna get them coming from wherever they're gonna come from. So to say that they're always coming from Station 4 is not a true statement.
But someone is going to send an ambulance for every call that we have for EMS.
They should,
Well, they're saying that they do.
right, they should. There have been times when after 25 minutes, the patient says, never mind, I'll take myself. Hey, you can disregard it. Yes, they've already started their response from wherever they're coming from. Because maybe they're on a transfer at the hospital and they're like, here, have a patient, I've gotta go get another one, right? Those are bad days, and those bad days are getting more and more, right?
They're probably dispatched at the same time as you guys, aren't they?
They are, exactly. Actually, they go first. The EMS goes, or the ambulance goes before we get dispatched, but, so when they don't get there, it's because they're coming from Hecagon, and it's not because they're sitting around picking their noses.
Yeah, right. Well, the reason why I'm asking that question is because last year, based on the reports, we had quite a few calls that the ambulance was not called out on, whereas now it appears that it's 1-for-1.
We fixed it. We fixed it, and remember some of that, I can't remember how long we've been live, but beforehand with the previous company. That was a problem, they just wouldn't send. Right, so, but we have Life now, and we've had them now for a little while, I think. And like I said, I just talked to the boss of Life today, and he was telling me that he's not fully staffed. And all of the agencies in our areas are not fully staffed. And South Haven is putting on more full-timers. They're gonna have 5 full-time people besides the command staff. Starting at the first of next month, and they're still needing 2 more people. So they're looking to put on 7 full-timers just to cover what they've got. And we're right next door.
And so like, for example, if Life couldn't make it to us, South Haven would come.
We call the next ambulance.
One thing I think you need to clarify, when a call goes out, and if it's an ambulance or if it's a police vehicle or if it's a fire truck, whatever it is, whatever the call is, unless it's a designated call to our to our guys.
Yeah.
They're gonna go. But if it's an ambulance or if it's a police vehicle, they send the closest one that's available.
Right.
So, just like an ambulance, it doesn't mean it's sitting in Pine Grove and they're gonna send it. It could be up in Lee Township, it could be down towards maybe Cass County, well, that's a little far, but.
Let me rephrase my question then. We had 23 EMS calls in Columbia Township,
Yeah.
and an ambulance come to every one of those calls.
They were dispatched. Doesn't mean they showed up, but that's how the call came in. They could have been, when Joe, for instance, may have gotten there and the person says, oh, no, I don't need an ambulance. Then Joe can say, there's no request here, so the ambulance doesn't necessarily get there.
I see what you're saying, yeah, they're dispatched at every call.
Right,
But
They may not make the scene on that.
Last year, they weren't dispatched on every call based on the reports. That has all changed.
I would have to go back and look
Yeah.
to verify that, but
I
when
think,
911 is called, they go.
yeah.
Whether they
and-
get there is something different. They did change their whole dispatching stuff.
They did.
And I mean, so everything this last year has been revamped, hence the new reports.
And they have new software that's involved, so it's probably programmed to do that.
Yeah. It's a whole new
It
thing.
doesn't mean that they show up all the time, but it comes in as a dispatch call.
And they used to have their reports, they said dispatch time, and then they
Yeah.
had another line that said when they were done.
Right.
But
They have
So
time,
I get those individual reports.
They've removed that column because their database has that information. They're just not giving it to us.
right,
I believe that is probably true.
Mhm.
This is the only report that they send out to the townships right now.
But it's changed in the last few months.
The last 3 months, there's been a new reporting system, absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
new software.
And we're getting, I think it was like 168 pages in our packet now. I mean, I know we were bugging you for data before, but now. we-
I can't change it.
Take over.
I can't change it.
So you just get it
They will
all.
not do
Okay.
it by the township anymore. You get, here's the
Get the
data
whole
for
county.
the county, bam,
Okay,
go to your page,
Yeah,
have fun.
yeah.
And that way, all information is there, and that's just the way it is. I haven't changed the way I've done anything. They've changed their reporting system, that's why you're getting more information. So if you don't want those, that's fine, I still have them available if you ever wanna look at them, but my numbers and their number, my numbers will actually be a little bit more because. You know, when we're going on storm damage, they may have dispatched me out to one place and I find 3 more things on the way.
mhm.
We pull another duty roster for that one so that we can keep track of how many times we've done something. So my calls for storm damage is probably higher than what they dispatched.
Mhm.
Anyway, I do have, some quick numbers for you for information to go into your notes. I was asked recently, how many responders do I have? We have 21 people on our roster. Of that, 4 are command, 12 are fire only, 12 are EMS only. And of that 24 licenses, if you will, 6 are both. So, you know, some of the numbers you play with. I've got one aux member that's basically, he goes, if I run out of water unseen, bottled water, snacks or something, that goes after that. We have 3 cadets. Today I took in 2 more EMS onlys. And I've got one that contacted me yesterday asking if he could come back. He had moved away to another state. He's coming back. He's fully trained EMS and fire. So we're gonna get one back from the Beyond range, which is a first, which is very helpful. We did EMR class earlier this year. We reaped another 4 licenses with 2 more, we're still waiting to test. So we've got that going on. My nephew, Hayden Robertson, was going through fire school. He's a junior, was a junior, now he's a senior now. He went through fire school this year and he took the night class EMS class. Hayden is now a firefighter EMR. At the age of 17, he just had his birthday this last week. Now all he's doing is waiting till he turns 18. And then we have another fully trained person. So he's still classified as a cadet, but he knows more than half of my staff. So. Or a third of my staff. So going back to what you guys were saying earlier, everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. You wanna come and make coffee when there's a call going on? Bring it. Bring it. You wanna come and with a vest and help me run traffic control? Bring it. You wanna come and take pictures for the department, bring it. Anything you guys wanna do, just get with me and we'll find you a spot. There's a job.
Radio, so we know where you're at.
We don't need a radio, all you need is a phone. I can say, it texts right to you, that's part of those system updates. Oh, it even goes to the flip phones if you still have one of those. That would be my mother, but anyway, so, you know, we have an open door policy. If you can walk in it, you can come join it.
Okay, unfinished business, the budget resolution. Part of the, L 2049 requires that if we did a budget resolution, it needed to be attached to the L 49 package that we're gonna send. When I reviewed what I had at the meeting on March 29th, all I could find is budget resolution 2025-00X. I looked at the meeting minutes and there was no approval of the budget resolution 2025-00X. So I got a hold of Cara, explained the situation to her, and she went back and looked at the video, and we actually did the resolution, but it wasn't recorded in the meeting minutes, and it wasn't placed into our records. Pardon?
Thought I saw it in the meeting minutes.
Might be in the meeting minutes now.
It is now.
The meeting minutes would be adjusted after the fact? Is that?
It might be now. She said that it is in her office, for the record, so.
Okay, so, and you.
Because
did
it was
want
on
to-
the video. I mean, everything was approved and it was missing in the meeting minute. So anyways, that's why you have resolution 2025-008 RES parentheses 1. She went to make sure that that got recorded because we're going to need that for the 4029.
Nice, yep,
Okay, so you have what you need.
yep.
Yeah. Now the L 4029. I asked her to put this into the package due to the fact that if we didn't have that budget resolution, then we would had to have had a resolution tonight to approve the L 4029, but with the other resolution, and it does exist, then basically we've already done that.
Right,
So that's why that was in there, so
so we don't have to do anything with those.
I think we probably ought to make a motion to accept the correction to the budget resolution 2025-008. Or the addition to it, to say that we've received it. Right now, I don't know if she corrected the meeting minutes or not. I would think it'd have to come to the board to do that. I do know that she found the resolution and I know it's on the video.
Right,
I remember us doing it. But since it wasn't in the meeting minutes and we didn't catch it, I think we ought to just make some motion to accept it. That way we'll be good with the L 4029.
I would move that we accept the general operation resolution 2025-008 as voted on and approved on
March.
March
29th.
29th of 2005.
We have a second? I'll second it. Oh, that's not, yeah, that's the resolution that has money in it. Roll call,
Could we-
Gary?
One second.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't at that meeting, so forgive my couple questions here, but it's too bad Laura's not here. I just wonder.
I don't think you can change meeting
Yeah, I don't,
after the fact, but it did occur, whether it was in the minutes or not.
That's why
It
I'm
was
saying
in
that
my notes, I checked.
we accepted for the L
Yeah.
42.
It's just a weird situation. If the tape showed that you guys passed the resolution, it just didn't make the minutes, that's an error. I'm not sure what we're voting on, I guess. We're just voting to say like,
Accept that resolution as for the L 4029.
Sounds like he's just trying to get it in some meeting minutes. Right? Am I following you?
Yeah.
Then we can vote on correcting.
was there no discussion of the L 4029 at that special meeting?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's right in the resolution that has the L 49 information from the previous year, which is what's required to be in there.
Okay,
And all of this, the millage, the 2025 millage reduction calculation sheet is all in here as well.
And I did check the 08 against all the notes I made at that meeting, and they all checked off.
okay.
So
You had it in your notes?
I had notes of any revision.
Her wasn't at
we
that
had.
meeting, right?
No,
Just Mary, you and I, right?
correct.
Right.
Right,
Oh, okay, I can see how that could happen.
yes, that's probably how it happened, but I had made notes on my paper copy. And I looked at it compared to hers, and she got all the edits that were done at that meeting.
For the L 4029.
So we're just basically voting to say we're in receipt of this
We're voting to
resolution
accept
and the
that
4029.
resolution for our public hearing that we're
Okay.
all ready to have on
Okay,
truth and taxation.
thank you.
Let's see, that was a roll call vote. Gary was yes,
Yes.
Ken's a yes, Jason?
Yes.
Ken, I have a question.
Yeah,
What is the noise ordinance?
the noise ordinance,
Yeah. What are the hours? 10 to what?
I would have to pull it up and look at it. I can get you a copy.
Okay, cause, I know my neighbor. Each. Architect or whatever the heck his name is, Trent. I'm Erica, by the way.
Yeah.
I know my neighbor has been out there and he gets out there at like 6 o'clock in the morning and starts pounding on vehicles. And. Do you know exactly what the ordinance is so I can take matters into a different level to get a hold of the police department and all that?
Give me your email address and I will send you a copy of that. If you want the blight, I can give you that one too, and
Okay,
I believe the hours are, and he alluded, it was 10 PM to 7 AM, I believe.
well, I know, cause I Googled it and it gave me so many different hours. I know summertime it changes, especially around the 4th of July, because, 4th of July, all the fireworks are going off till 1 o'clock in the morning, blah, 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 blah. However, this is almost an everyday occurrence, especially on the weekends, he's out at 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes I wonder if they even sleep. And they're out pounding on vehicles, making noises as like this, like, other people do live around here. I'm a cancer survivor, thank you, Lord, I'm no longer have cancer, but I'm still going through the process of all my treatment and all that, so. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what all can be done. In
Okay.
reality.
do we have our noise meter still?
Pardon?
Do we have our noise meter?
Yeah,
It's in the sheriff's car, right?
decibel meter? Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It is a hard one to enforce.
It is.
yeah,
It is a hard one.
yeah, I know it is.
Does that need to be 100 decibels or higher,
I think it's only 65.
65?
That's what I remember, but it might have been 65 days and it could have been 55 at night or something like that, but I remember 65 pretty strongly.
65 was related to the renewable.
That's
to the
renewable energies thing.
That was the max.
No, I think it's in our.
In the ordinance?
Yeah,
Okay, it might be.
they had a list, I think, where the chainsaw was something like that.
Yeah.
They had a list of different ones that make noise and what you could have an idea of what type of decibels you might be hearing. Truth and taxation, there's a draft notice to be put into the newspaper that's gotta be. If you go to the truth and taxation checklist, it tells you when that has to be published. I think, Kara's got all that to do. But I think she wanted to have any comment that anyone might have on the draft notice. And I don't have any comments. Anyone else have comments on that?
Leave 6 days before the public.
It has the instructions, I mean, that's what it is.
These instructions, this time I'm gonna get a spreadsheet that shows different property owners, and if you have a $50,000 home, 100,000, and tell you what the tax increase would be for each one of those. Under truth and taxation. A lot of questions about that last year. I didn't have the information in my hands.
Which value does that go on?
Pardon?
Which value does that go on?
It goes on your taxable value,
The taxable value.
yeah. It's normally a small increase. But you, higher price house, you pay more, lower price house, you pay less. So I have to give you different ranges.
I understand that, but I don't know which one it goes on, because you got two different values on your.
You have your SUV, you have your
Yes.
taxable value and true cash value.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? I don't think, unless we have some comments for. I think we're good to go.
Is that going to be held at 6:30 for the July meeting, or are we gonna do it?
6:30, we're gonna have the truth and taxation before that. And I think at the same time, we're having the fire department public hearing.
Okay, is
The
that all
same
gonna
night.
fit in a half an hour before the regular meeting?
I would have to look to see what our time frame was. Truth and taxation doesn't normally
Usually
take
it's
long.
like- No, not very many people.
Well, it was set for 6:30, so that's a half an hour.
How long is your presentation, Kate?
We're making, it's gonna, JC's presenting, I would give him half an hour, 45 minutes.
Oh,
I would,
Okay.
he's doing a community needs analysis, a risk analysis, an equipment needs analysis, and a financial analysis.
We,
And I'm gonna get. some
we can move it to
questions.
6. I mean, I don't
think
have a
we can
problem. Anyone have a problem moving it to 6 if we have to?
well.
As long as the
You
notice.
can't really, yeah, the notice is already out
Yeah,
for that one to start at 6:30. So
that
you
one,
might wanna have this one start early, the truth and taxation. And the public notice was not
Didn't mention anything about.
specific for any of that, and that, it was really related to the proposed tax.
Exactly.
So you could start early, depending on how you.
Thanks for
notice it.
coming.
But the part that we were legally required to have the notice go out like 2 weeks ahead,
Yeah,
we can't change that. That's how it is.
That has to be at 6:30.
Yes,
yeah,
Could we add truth and taxation and emergency needs
Presentation.
analysis at 6?
I don't see why we couldn't, because we haven't noticed that. part.
right,
Right,
Does that make sense?
I think so.
yeah, we can do that.
yep.
If JC's presentation takes a little longer than 30 minutes, the 6:30, we'll just have it start a little later, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it would make sense for his to kind of flow in, because his is.
It'd be a great contest.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Do we need a motion for that since it's gonna be noticed?
I think we already, authorized the notice on their last meeting.
Well, we don't need to have a. For the fire department and the truth and taxation. No, not that. For the notice that we're required to have for the 6:30 meeting next month is gone out.
Yes,
So that can't be changed.
right.
Right.
But the additional informational things, I don't think we need
We still have to do it's a public
oh,
hearing.
it's a public
Yep.
hearing, so
So
we
it would
still have to
be
have,
notice.
That's
but
right,
It doesn't
yeah.
have to go in the mail to everybody.
yeah,
It would
Yeah.
have to be published
yep,
and on the door.
Yep,
And according to this, it says, publication must occur, so the publication. 6 or more days before the public hearing, so there's still time for that. So this one could be at 6.
Right, I'm just saying, we probably need a motion for that, right?
yeah,
So I'll make a motion to, approve public notice for the truth and taxation and, Kate, what are you calling that?
emergency service.
Fire and emergency services assessment.
Okay, for both the truth and taxation and fire and emergency services assessment at 6 PM on, I think that was July 15th, right?
Correct,
July 15 at 6 P.M.
yes,
Get a second?
so moved.
Jason, Gary. That's the money, roll call, Gary,
Yes,
Jason,
Yes,
Ken, yes. Renewable energy. We now have, County Road 215 with solar and battery ordinances, approved through the county. We have a workable Creo ordinance for 50th Street that's been through the county. And the next step is for them all to come to the township board. We had a resolution that we sent to the planning commission to make a decision based on some criteria of which one of these would be the best for us or to do nothing. So we have 4 options, which would be do nothing, do a overlay district, do a workable Creo, or let it go to the state of Michigan. Those 4 things. And we'll need to make a decision of which one or ones that we would want to do with this.
I might be wrong, but I think your terminology might not have been entirely correct. I think a Creo is a Creo. There's certain criteria that is for a Creo. Then there is a workable ordinance that is
Not agree.
that is not a Creo. It's a workable ordinance. So
I thought it was based on the Creo with expanded setbacks.
no,
No.
workable is you can
Not-
have your own setbacks and.
That's our own decision of what we want to do.
Yep.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
And Ken, did I hear you say that you were gonna ask the planning commission to tell you guys what to vote for? Okay, I'm glad, cause that would seem.
The planning commission has already made their recommendation to send these to the township board.
Okay,
And that decision will fall on the township board, but they have options, the township board, on which way they want to go.
So what did they send them? Did they send them a Creo and a workable?
They did not send them a Creo, in your definition of a Creo, that would be the state.
The state, that's right.
So the state,
Okay,
do nothing,
okay,
workable,
okay,
or the overlay district.
okay. Okay,
So we'll get all that,
all right,
and then probably the resolution that,
yep,
where we ask them
Okay.
to do X, Y, Z, and then decide from there.
don't you already have these?
We have all 3 of them, but
Okay,
we haven't received the official documentation
from the.
from the county to Tasha to be able to send it to the township
I
board.
got you.
Foster Swift send those in?
we did receive notice back from the county planning commission though. They concurred with the most recent ordinances that we sent to them, which are both Creo ordinances
And those are the solar and the battery.
within the confines of the overlay district, yes.
Okay, that's
To be
what's in here.
clear,
That's what you have there.
Go in there.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring this up, Ken, because and it's unfortunate, we have two board members not here and our attorney's not here because, you know, we discussed this at the last meeting and I knew that the county planning commission didn't meet or something, so it hadn't gone to them yet. So I think we were waiting for that to happen so that we could take action on that. And I think, I just want to impress upon us that are here, and I outlined this in my trustee report, that I think the timing is now of the essence, for a number of reasons. Back last year, when we took this up as a board, we kind of had that original trajectory of we're gonna pass a workable, and feeling at the time that it was in the best interest of the township, even though we thought if we don't do that, it's likely to go through the state anyways. I think we got sidetracked with the lawsuit. We got a little sidetracked with the overlay district and some other things, and that workable ordinance went to the side. I lay this all out in my report, but I was contacted twice by Vesper in the last couple weeks, indicating that because they hadn't heard back from us or there wasn't any action being taken, they were very close to just deciding to go through the state and kind of wanted an update on where we were at. And I obviously expressed that I can't speak for the board, but there had been conversations at prior meetings that seemed to indicate to me that we were at least open still to considering a workable ordinance, because I think we had said that's one of our options to pick from. And they were basically about ready to fire us off an email stating, hey, if we don't hear from you by this date, we're just gonna bail on that and go through the state permitting process. So I kind of had conversations with Rich to tell him where we had left off. And he did convey what you just said, Kate, that in their perspective, a CREO ordinance is a non-starter. So I want to make sure we all understand that if we were to pass the ordinance that just went through the county planning commission for the overlay district, Vesper will not, they will permit through the state, because they've already got too much vested in this property. They purchased options on additional property. And it wasn't a threat. It was just them being candid, saying that site will not work for us. If the township does pass that ordinance, we will then permit through the state. So I think we're right on the precipice of that happening. And if we don't want that to happen as a township, we need to take some pretty swift action. And I don't know if that means we try to organize a special meeting. I think it would be a mistake to wait for another month to take this up again, to discuss it. Because once we pass the ordinance, as you guys know, then Vesper would have to file the special use permit and go through that process. So and in order for us to take advantage of this, if we're gonna try to make the best case scenario out of it, that would include trying to get the ordinance passed and permit the project so that we could apply for Eagle grants. And it's not a small number. Kate knows this. It's $1 million potential grant for our township. And I'm not suggesting that we do this for the money. I think I've made my position clear on this from the very beginning, 18 months ago, that without speaking to how I feel about the project itself, we know that there is an avenue for it to come whether we like it or not. And I think we're close to that point. And so I think it behooves us to try to make the best deal we can. And I think it's gonna require that we make quick decisions and decide what are we gonna do. Like, we have to take a position as a board, go, we're not gonna have any of these, we're gonna let them all go through the state, or we're only gonna do CREOs, or we're gonna hold out for the lawsuit, which I think is probably not a good idea, because we don't know how that's gonna go, or we're gonna try to do a workable. Because we have this project on the table and it will move forward whether we like it or not.
Well, I think that Vesper just sent a red line, what would be a workable that would be acceptable to them.
They did.
Okay,
I contacted our zoning administrator and I wanted to make sure we had the correct version of that ordinance because it went through a couple drafts.
Yeah.
That was when Catherine Kaufman was helping with the draft. And so I verified with Tasha that that was the latest version that did go through the County Planning Commission. And we resent that, or she sent that to Vesper, and they went back through it and redlined some items that they said, hey, these would be some things that in our position, we would want to tweak in order to make this ordinance workable. So I did include that as an attachment in my report. I think that's probably so, I mean, they already went through the Planning Commission, Kate, but if you haven't seen that,
I think I just got it today.
the new members should update themselves on, that's,
Just got it today. Did you send it?
yes, yes,
Or sent it, or you sent it?
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, I just got it too. That's why I bring it up,
yeah.
because it is in the works.
So, I mean, we can't go back in time, but last October, we kind of had the ball at the 5-yard line ready to make a decision, and for various reasons, we stopped running plays on that particular plan. I think it's like, if we want to continue with that plan, we need to make some good faith efforts to show Vesper that that's what we intend to do. Otherwise, I think inaction could pose the risk of them thinking, well, the township doesn't know what they're doing, they're taking too much time, they can't make a decision, we're just gonna go through the state. So,
And the state's gonna ram it down our throats.
What do we lose if they go through the state?
Dollars. There's a
So,
community.
so it is about dollars.
well,
Well, they-
no.
No,
I'll answer that. There are dollars to lose in the form of grants, and I'll just say it again. It's kind of like, if you don't like this project, you might be forced to swallow it anyways, but we're trying to make it as good as possible. But the other thing that you lose,
We have no recourse down the road.
let me explain, please. The other thing that you lose is that the state permitting process has a much lower bar in terms of the ordinance. Yes, they do, Dixie, they do. Our workable ordinance has much stricter requirements from an ordinance standpoint. So we get to pick how that's written, and Vesper can decide whether they want to work with us or not. If we make it too strict, then they'll say, nope, that's too much, we'll just go through the state. So it's a middle ground for sure. I mean, we can just say, no, we won't do anything. And then whatever the state says for setbacks, decibel meter readings, all that, we have to accept regardless, because it's a state permit.
But
Yes.
there's recourse on that, but there's no recourse if we accept it.
I don't know what you mean by recourse.
We can go, and then if stuff changes down the road, then we can go after the state or whoever, do whatever, but if we accept it, it's just done, it's a done deal.
Under either scenario, whether you had a state permit or whether we had a permit with them. However it works, whether we make them go to the state or whether we do a workable ordinance, so that they still have to have a state permit at the end of the day
Right,
for
well-
operation.
Whether we get it or not, it's, I mean, it's gonna happen, I'm sure, but I mean, I don't want it.
Right.
And I don't know of anybody that does, except you guys that are
Right.
telling them or whatever, I don't know, but I haven't talked to one person yet that wants to accept
Yeah.
people that are benefiting directly. So.
I can't-
People that they bought the property from, the people across the street that you guys suggested they buy, I guess. So, I mean, I mean, you guys are supposed to be working for us, not one or two people.
I can't
You're
speak for,
basically saying that no matter what you decide, state can override.
That's correct, yeah.
Yes.
But if the state overrides it, you can go after the state if something changes later.
How do you think we're gonna go after the state?
Yeah.
That's not, you can't go after the state itself. It's just anyway, yeah.
I guess I don't know what you mean by
We accept
that.
There is no recourse down the road to stop anything.
I disagree with you saying that Columbia Township is stricter than the state, because case in point, Public Act 233 says that net sound in excess of 55 average hour decibels. They have changed this workable ordinance to 65. As we all know, we do not like noise. And so therefore, they're making it in this workable, not even hitting the standards of the state. The state has many things in here that they have to do in order to, meet the requirements of the state. I mean, there's going out there, they're getting, different permitting, they have to pay for this thing, they have to provide reports, they have to protect the local township. Here I see where they've lined through about the natural resources in the state Public Act 233, they address the natural resources. So it's not in this that I see. Now, I took a very quick look at it, but I'd like to compare the two. So I don't think that we're comparing apples with apples.
I think if it was easier to go through the state, they would have just done that instead of going through it at all.
And well, no, because it's costing them money, plus the state is more
Well, that's right.
stringent. And they're
That's
saying
what
about
I'm saying.
losing this $1 million. Like I said, when I look at this Eagle thing, you cannot reduce the property taxes in Columbia Township. It has to be used for something in addition. If we put in a new park, well, then the community is gonna be paying to maintain it. So in the long run, it's gonna cost us more money. So I don't know that it's really worth getting the $1 million from the state or from the grant.
Anytime you get grant money for
Yes.
whatever project that you wanna, that money for, or what what you have to use it for, that money's gone. The township has to pick up
Yes,
maintenance and,
yes.
upkeep on those.
Mhm.
So.
Well,
Grants are generally to get you from a low point to a higher point. So for example, with fire, one grant would be to hire certain
You can
number of
use the
staff,
wages.
and they get 3 years to pay for it, but then in 3 years you have to be able to keep that staff going. It's a lot of grants are to help you assess your community, you see where you have some needs, and the grant helps you meet those needs. But yeah, you're expected to grow up and into the request you're making. If you need more fire people, we'll help you, but yes, you have to be ready in 3 years to pay for it yourself. Well, and that's generally gonna be true. I think you're generally right. I mean, I am comfortable with the state permitting part of it. The only advantage that I can see, and I'm not saying I understand the whole project, I've been trying to understand it for the last 30 days. The only thing that I can see as advantage, working with them, is we do get better setbacks. I know that, if we ask for them, and our neighbors would be happier, because the one thing that I've heard through the hearings I've been in is that neighbors right near there don't want it because they're worried about noise and they're worried about the road.
I live right
So the
here.
workable, just to finish my thought, thank you, is to allow us to have a little bit better control over that. We may not want to manage them though, so I think the board has a very difficult decision to make.
Right,
I think-
but that's what is in this change, they're saying to increase the decibel limits. So therefore, the neighbors would have a higher noise volume than what they would have had if they were to go to the state.
I don't know that that's a final number, that's what I take your point, I mean, it gets to the,
Between 215 and 50.
Yeah,
as far as the grant money goes, it's it's dwindling. The original grant money has pretty well been doled out, there's $4 million left. I did notice that of the grants that were recently, given out by the state of Michigan, they all went to townships that agreed to host, meaning they're requiring the battery storage plant to go through a state process.
Why don't we?
Rather than, you see what I'm saying? Most of the grant money is going to townships and municipalities that agree to host, which is what the term is called when the state's running the process. When the state's running the process, you still get a host agreement, and
Right.
maybe you'll get a little something out of it,
Right.
and you'll get tax revenue.
right.
Yeah,
And even with the tax revenue, it's under, they will be taxed under industrial personal property, which has a decreasing scale to it. Now, the information that Vesper presented to us, they just put, our balance sheet is this, we don't know what part is personal, what part is real, so therefore, we don't have any information.
They didn't give any specifics.
No.
well, yeah, I mean, I support a hearing somehow between planning and board, everybody's there with Vesper paying for the public notice like they did with that first hearing, that we really got a great crowd. And make Vesper give the presentation we're asking for. In my opinion, they haven't done it, and I don't appreciate, but I'm willing to listen to a presentation if they show up and they give us in one sitting, give us all of the answers to the questions that we're asking. They haven't done that. It's been this piecemeal approach You get emails, I'm starting to get emails. This is a very difficult way to make a big decision. We're not all on the same page.
Well.
I think one of the things that they had mentioned in there is they can't actually give designated amounts
But
because they don't know until the project is approved and what's going in. Then they can give you some concrete numbers. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know.
That's,
I,
they absolutely know what they're gonna make or not make. That's
They
bull.
do.
That's bull.
they do.
There's
Yeah.
no
Well,
way they're stepping into this and don't know to the penny what they're gonna make.
that's
You
exactly,
would
we have
think.
E&Y doing it
That's
for them, which
right.
is one of the big four accounting firms.
Cause this,
So, yeah,
this
they
company, if
have
you
no
guys
base.
look at this company, they don't own nothing.
Yeah.
Afterwards, they sell it all off.
Right.
And all these battery places they put in, they charge them at night and then they release it out during the day when it's higher rates. Guess what happens at night now? Now it becomes a high usage. Now your rates go up at night too. It's just garbage. It's all garbage. So
Well,
that battery plant is no different than the battery in my car. It charges and then it releases when I want it.
So it sounds
It's
like,
not, the solar panels are renewable. I understand that part, but this battery storage, I don't understand at all.
I
think it's
do,
garbage.
may I say something, because I have a background in this, and allow me to say that in my opinion, calling a battery storage plant for renewable resources is probably the wrong way to speak about it, it's actually an energy efficiency resource. What these batteries do is they store the electrics that is not used and nonetheless manufactured at night. So it really is low hanging fruit for the
No,
electric
no, they
companies to
They
store.
don't, they don't,
Allow me to
they
finish
don't
and then
know
I'll listen
because they
to you.
don't store what's
It
not.
really allows the electric companies to store the energy that is manufactured at night. Now, if a solar panel or wind farm came in, that is renewable energy and they would use those battery storages as well to
And I
store excess
understand that.
energy. But right now, we're just talking about storing energy that is produced by our electric plants. It's an energy efficiency move, which I support. I definitely do. And we live in a country that if you just go home and Google it yourself, when was the
I
last
have.
time a power plant was licensed in this country? It's very difficult. And the state is saying, we can't give you what you need. We can't give you your electricity if everybody says not in my backyard. And so they're coming up with this idea of grants to give townships incentives to move the ball. Now, we may not want it, but let's not mischaracterize what's going on here.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, if you actually look at this, you know, you guys keep talking about our power problem. Our power problem is not the power. It's the grid itself. There's not enough grid to carry what we need. So these guys are optimizing on this during the day. And because there's, like he said, there's 200, what is it, megawatt, what he said?
Yeah.
That's what's available, right? So what's gonna happen when consumers comes back online? They gotta have part of that line too. So.
I don't mean to dismiss your argument at all, but all that is a moot point if we decide to step out of the way and they permit through the state. None of that matters.
And I
It's gonna come here,
Yeah.
whether we agree with how they're doing it and when they're doing it, and what they're charging, and you know what I mean?
The old saying, just roll over, let them do what they
No,
want.
well,
No.
let me,
No, it's not. I'm not gonna roll over and let them do what they want. If they do it anyway, then that's the way. it
you
is.
know, we're not rolling over either. We've spent hundreds of hours on this, trying to figure out what the best thing to do for our township is. And I recognize that I do work for you. And I'm trying to make the best decision for everybody, nobody gets personal gain up here from this project. I don't know if you meant to say it like that, but that's certainly false.
I said the only people that are saying yes to it are people getting personal gain out of it.
Okay,
That's all I've said.
well, I mean, I've heard a lot of people that are actually okay with the project, so that there's other voices. But Dixie, I would welcome you to compare our ordinance with the state ordinance and bring the differences, but I just want to point out one, because when we had this original hearing, we heard people say, what about the roads? So the planning commission went in, added clause 14 under section 11B 14, a proposed haul route during construction of the facility, providing a report of the roads pre-construction. A post-construction report shall be required. If any damage has occurred, the facility is required to pay the repair costs. I'm pretty sure that is not included in state permitting. That was a local ordinance language that we, as the planning commission, added in here to try to address some of the public concerns that we were hearing. So I do respectfully reject the notion that this is in summation less strict than the state's permitting, because we certainly made every effort to go, let's hear what everybody's saying and try to add this language into our ordinance and see what Vesper says.
Yeah.
Because workable is the key word. Like, they have to go, yes, we can work with you. And we say, cool, we can work with you too. Otherwise, they just go, we're not working with anybody but the state, and you guys get what you get. I mean, if that's what, I mean, I'm hearing that's what you want, and I respect that opinion. I don't know if everyone in our township feels the same way.
So it sounds like it's gonna happen regardless, one way or the other, it's gonna go, it's going in. Are we, the township, prepared to now fight successfully or more successfully the next one that wants to come in and set up something in our township?
That's
Want to
certainly,
answer that? Because Vesper's responded to that at the planning commission meeting last week, and they said, you don't have to worry about that because the capacity in the high transmission lines that is absorbed, the battery plant is big enough to absorb the extra coming off those lines.
Well, and I'm not talking about just batteries, I'm talking about solar panel farms, I'm talking about windmills.
It's already happening.
Well, that's what the overlay ordinance is,
It's already happening.
but I don't think there's anybody.
well, that's a good point, and that's why we also started drafting ordinance for other potential projects, which we've heard talk of on the
We
wind.
didn't have in place for the battery, you're getting it in place
Correct.
going down the road.
Correct, but it's kind of a separate issue in a sense that those aren't real projects yet. We haven't been approached by a company with a particular site plan, whereas this one is.
But can't we, I mean, I hear about 215 being the corridor that these type of projects should be on. Can that be put in place so that we don't have them going out around the country?
So, that is our hope in establishing an overlay district. However, the only way that that holds true is if the current lawsuit that is being fought by Foster Swift against the state is successful. Because if it's not, then no township in Michigan has any say where these projects go. That's the current law that we're under. PA 233 says state has now taken over control and these go wherever they want.
And that's what's happening.
So the lawsuit is hoping to refute that
Oh,
so that a township can say, we want these projects to go in this district.
okay, that's what that's.
But, so we wrote an ordinance to that effect, but that ordinance only means something if the lawsuit's successful, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like a backstop ordinance.
It's still something.
It's something.
Successful.
Yes.
Because it allows a battery storage plant along our commercial corridor, and there was no risk assessment done for that overlay, ordinance, which I find kind of appalling. Because 215 has a lot of the commercial buildings and risks in our community, and yet we have this overlay ordinance now that, gee, you can put a battery storage plant, which is probably the last place you want is anywhere near any of our other hazards in the township, and to belong to.
Yeah, but what they look at too is a power line, if
Yes.
they connect to it, and if
Yeah.
that power line
Yeah.
is big enough to hold, to work.
I would like the township going forward, if it's gonna pass zoning ordinances, especially for things like battery storage plants, that there is a risk assessment that goes along with that. Going forward, we don't just, because, that just, in any real world that I'm aware of, that an ordinance wouldn't go ahead for a battery storage plant without a true understanding from your fire and emergency services at a minimum, that this is a good place for it. And I don't think that analysis happened.
Right.
I'm sitting here listening to all this, and to me, it sounds like nobody's even considering natural resources at all. All I can feel about is this much money, that much money, this and that. Nothing about the citizens or the natural resources.
There have been environmental studies, pretty significant ones, and I think they continue to be done. And Kate, you might know this from your research or your background, but I believe in terms of, I think Dixie, when you mentioned, or somebody mentioned the environmental, even if we pass a local ordinance that they have to comply with, I believe they still have to follow Eagle permitting, environmental permitting, state permitting on a project of this nature. So it's not like if we pass the workable, all that stuff goes away. I believe it's, our workable is on top of all that to help make it better for our township. So you make a very good point. What we're trying to do is walk and chew gum here. We've got the future to think about, but we have this other project that's right on the verge of saying, hey, we've been trying to move forward on this with you for almost 2 years now. If you're not gonna move, then fine, we're just gonna go through the state. And I mean, as a business, I understand that, but
What you're saying, Jason, so you're saying, let's say we have 65 decibels in here and the state has 55. They would get 65 because that's in our workable, so therefore it would be less than what the state would require, correct?
Well, you're picking on one item or one facet of it. There's nothing to say in our workable saying, oh, well, these decibels are gonna be higher than, so let's put in another barrier. Let's put in some more green space, some more, to muffle.
So that would be included in your control of ordinance, correct?
Well,
Right,
as a
right.
taxpayer, I would rather repair a road than to hear noise forever.
What about if you can do both with the workable? And they say, yeah, we'll do both.
well, let me also just give maybe some additional perspective. Vesper came to us with this proposed project on, I think is it 11 acres or 9 acres? I can't remember, maybe.
I think it was originally
The original piece of property,
10, I think.
which falls within the state requirements for land size. They could have just gone right to the state with it. Once November 29th passed, when the law came into effect. From my vantage point, they didn't have to go out and make another purchase option on additional property across the street. But when I talked to Rich, the reason for that is so that they had more flexibility with their site plan and they could spread things out to try to help address things like decibel readings and setbacks and green space and wetlands.
Lighting.
So I understand that there's visceral reaction about this project, positive and negative, but I'm trying to give the perspective that I believe that they have shown good faith in trying to work with us, and including calling me and saying, hey, are you guys trying to do anything, or should we just go through the state? Like, where are you at? Rather than just go skip Columbia Township, because candidly, I'm pretty sure our waffling back and forth and how much time we've taken to do this and yada, 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 probably strengthens their state permitting case.
I'm not
Once-
sure about that, because there's a lot of things, but another thing too is, have they actually provided us a site plan? Like, we're gonna have these battery storage units here. I mean, have we seen any documentation, written documentation?
That would come with a special use permit application.
And they haven't done that yet.
Why would they if we don't have an ordinance yet?
Yeah,
Okay. Because the other thing too is, as I was reading in the state law here, they have, different exemptions for solar. And they include battery storage with solar, and that they can go to the state tax commission and get an exemption to where they pay $7,000 per megawatt, which is like 1.4 million. But we've got to split that amongst everyone. Columbia Township's piece of that is only like probably under 5%. So if that happens, I mean, we don't even know how much money, so therefore, if they can provide additional information to us as to exactly what is it you're going to do, how much is it, where it's going to be located?
Yeah, I'm not sure that burden falls entirely on Vesper. I saw the chart that they sent today. I can tell you that when this came before the planning commission more than a year ago, they had similar projections that they provided, and we sent it through to the county equalization officer, Anthony Maynard. And he put it into a county tax table and was able to make the calculations that I believe you're looking for. We could certainly do that with these numbers. Vesper probably doesn't know our school district breakdown and all those things,
right.
whereas our county equalization officer would. And so we just got this new perspective tax breakdown that we could certainly run those numbers on. all of these are great concerns and I'm happy to hear them all again. It doesn't change the fact that I'm just simply trying to alert the board and let everybody who's here know that for anybody who wants this to just go through the state, it's about to happen if we don't choose to do something different.
Better get on the ball here.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so I agree with all of your summary. It's a tough decision. It really is all around. It's a tough
Yep.
decision. The state, that we've talked about, if the state just permits it, we get, maybe there's some grant money there. Maybe, although I'm not sure we get the grant money pursuing the state, I'm not sure, but I'll set that aside. On the scenario where we permit the site, there is a community benefit agreement that I've received a draft for, so it's in addition to tax revenues, it's $50,000 per year to the township, $25,000 per year to fire and services, and Van Buren County Schools, $25,000 a year, which seems a little low to me. These are all I would think negotiable, but so you understand, there is additional dollars that would come in under a workable
Yes.
agreement. And the one that I kind of like is the schools because the poverty level in our township is higher than any poverty level in the entire county. We are 21.6%. The state poverty level is 13.6%. Poverty is killing this township. And you're gonna hear about it with fire. I mean, a lot of our calls are poverty related. Inadequate housing, unsafe housing, people with disabilities are requiring emergency services. We need help.
But
We need help, and we can't keep saying no all the time, or we're just gonna fall apart.
now let's say, for example, there's an accident that happens there, and our community cannot afford to evacuate and rent some other place. What are you gonna do for them?
Well, that's all part of the plan that we need to have. These are what ifs and they're good questions and we need to have answers to them, but that's why I think a logical next step somehow, some way, besides decide if the board can decide what to do, I think we need to hear from them one more time. A good hearing where that's well noticed. Everybody gets a notice, everybody can come, and Vespers comes ready with their big boy pants on and gives us the information that we're asking for. So the board can make a decision. My issue is a lack of process. It's this anecdotal information here and there. You hear this, you hear that. It's hard to put it all together. And even when you're trying to put it all together, it's hard to pull it all together. So that's my big beat is I don't know how you make a decision when the information is just all over the place. Why not have one really good public hearing as quickly as possible with Vespers? Give them a chance to describe both scenarios, take your questions, so you can make a decision.
I think, but Dixie, what,
That hasn't
I just don't understand the hypotheticals, like, if there's a fire, what are we gonna do about evacuation? I mean, that has nothing to do with whether it's a workable ordinance or a state permit, it's gonna happen either way, like, I don't know why. I mean, yes, it's a concern, but like, that shouldn't be part of our decision-making process, because again, we might not have a decision in it at all.
The other thing is I don't care how much you plan and how much you organize, there's no way in the world that you can solve every problem that what if happens. You can't do it.
Right. Well,
You can do the best you can with what information you have.
part of what the fire department is doing, future needs assessment, the risk assessment, the risk associated with the battery energy storage plant. No one has asked the fire department to present to the township what the risks are, and evacuation is certainly one of them. We were talking about it today.
Well, that's part of the state ordinance saying that they.
But my point is that these are all good questions and they deserve to be answered, but they're not getting answered in a holistic way, in a solid hearing. And that, no one can make a good decision when the information is coming in from multiple sources.
And it's not coming in at all in certain.
In many
instances.
cases, and I'm 100% with you, these people, the Ernst & Young is their accountants, they know the answers to the questions we're asking.
I think that this conversation can go on indefinitely right now, so I think we ought to close it up.
Ken, you've been quiet. I would like to know your position on this. You've had at least a conversation with Vesper and our council, where are you at on this? Where do you think we should go? Like, I'm not proposing anything specific. I'm just alerting
I haven't
everybody to
made
the
a final
timeline. stuff.
decision in any form at this point. I'm still gathering my data, but to me, $1 million would really help this township. It's a dollar thing. The grant would be great. However, I'm concerned that we're shutting down all our fossil plants. Our nuclear plant was shut down. Now they're trying to get it back. And if you go to these battery stores, they're gonna take electricity at a low price at night to buy it, to charge their batteries, and then they're gonna discharge it during the day to feed the line to thing, if they can sell it cheap enough. And I'm not sure that it's benefiting Columbia Township. I think it's benefiting about 190 megawatts to everyone around us, just like our taxes do. We collect taxes and we get a small portion of it. We get it all from the lake, and then they give us money back based on population, and we lose tax money, and we're in a situation where we can't take care of cemeteries, transfer station, or the other things that we have to take care of, and I'm not sure that this is going to be profitable for us overall, especially if we are dictated where the money can go and how we can use it. And when you look at the drop in costs on personal property, 15% each year, in 10 years, you're down to about $150,000 that we're gonna be collecting, and we're gonna start out, according to Vesper, somewhere in the 680,000. But 10 years from now, we're gonna be in a situation where this money we collected, either we have to save it all, we can't really spend it without being right back in the same situation 10 years from now. So I think the best thing I can say that I have not got enough data and a full understanding of actually how this benefits Columbia Township. I realize the state will come in and put this in if Vesper goes forward and tries to permit it through that. Laura has told me that the township still has input into that. And the state will listen to that input, and there's also appeal process. I'm also hearing from our attorney that the lawsuit is still in process. The funds from the federal government are drying up. And there might be the profit that Vesper might see in the future. So I don't have enough data.
Will you ever, do you think, or is this
No.
gonna be one of those
No.
things
No.
that?
What's that?
Will you ever have enough data, or are there always gonna be these unknowns?
Well,
that paralyze us?
I'm listening to the public, and I'm hearing more negative stuff than I am positive, I will say that. And I'm concerned about what they say and what they want.
I will allow that this township, like, well, no offense to anybody, but I think we're probably all over 50 here, maybe. The average age of this township, 54% of the population of this township is under 44. Where are they? I think if you talk to young people, they want this project. Like, what's the problem? 21st century technology is very much something that young people want. And we don't have a representation of the whole community here. We have those of us that care enough to show up and get involved, but that's not the broader community. And I would like to know what questions you would like to have asked. Everybody, what questions do you want to have asked? Let's get them to Vespers and give them a chance to answer them, and then move on, make a decision and move on. But we keep coming to meetings saying I have to have questions answered, but we aren't really scheduling an opportunity for that to happen, where the public is informed and invited to come.
Okay, I agree we should have that type of meeting, and I agree you should have all the data you wanna get when you can get it.
Yeah.
But is it gonna change? I agree that yes, what you said, you're never gonna have all your data because 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road, it's all gonna change anyway.
And just reading with you about the younger generation, they don't even know what a dial telephone is. We can take and survey them and ask them who the president is, they'd say, John Doe.
They got.
Or where is the capital of the United States?
Anyway, yes, you're right.
I
Without,
don't know by their decision.
without this, they lost.
Exactly.
I know.
That would
So
be
I
fair.
think what we should do is, close this type of conversation for right now and work on getting, a meeting with the whole tribes, if you want to call it that, and, go from there.
Yeah, but we'd
I
like-
agree.
We'd like real answers though, instead of.
Right.
About answers
Right.
we gave before.
Right.
Because back last year, they danced around every question we gave.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, we need to get them. Another.
A proposed site plan as well as a detailed balance sheet.
We need to come up with a list.
They did have an organization and they did have a drawing and photographs of what these things were gonna look like and where it was gonna go and that, they did have that,
Yes.
but an actual,
They've actually filed a site plan with Tasha
Right,
for
right,
the west
exactly.
side of the road, and they have a nice drawing for that.
Correct.
We have that over there in the other room.
Right.
But they have since moved over to the east side and they separated the batteries from the transformers, the inverters and
switching
the
station.
switching station.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You're never gonna have all your data. You
Yeah.
never will.
Yeah,
So, okay,
Let them go across the street, then they'll be going next.
technically, I'm not against, I know the equipment, I know what they're doing. It's not an equipment issue to me.
well, yeah,
Change it.
they're not gonna put in shoddy equipment and have it destroyed.
Yeah, it's not an equipment issue.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, we're gonna move into new business, assessor contract renewal. Have you guys had time to look at that?
yep,
Any comments?
wait a minute, I think,
I just wondered, is there an action item that needs to happen, like,
It
who,
says, we're gonna close the conversation, we're gonna, find a time for a public hearing and try to gather more information.
Are you putting?
What
that
I'd
in?
like to do is see how long it's gonna take to get the information to be able to hold the public meeting.
we would like to invite Vesper to get a detailed explanation and some answers as best they can with the information they have. You know as well as I do, the state is continually changing things. And we're in part of this lawsuit with, we are in with the other 97 townships to fight this, so we're trying to listen to everybody here, and trying to get a little bit of sugar to help the medicine go down, if that's what we have to do. Cause we're gonna take the medicine,
It still sounds like right now it's a done deal. It's gonna happen one way or the other.
one way or another, it probably is. We would
Unless the
wanna,
Lawsuit is successful, which.
Yeah. we just wanna get the best for our citizens that we can. And unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to pacify or make everybody happy. It's impossible.
And that's with anything, to be honest with you.
Right.
I don't know what's gonna motivate Vesper to come and give another presentation. Though. I mean, why, they could just say, yeah, we're going to see the state.
I'm pretty sure they're listening to this meeting right now, so we'll be able to find out how they feel about this. I'm guessing.
Is the board able to appoint an ad hoc committee of citizens that would work together to come up with a list of questions that we want to have addressed? Would that be helpful to everyone? Cause if so, Dixie and I would be willing to be part of that committee, and we probably can think of one or two other people that would be helpful to just come up with a list of like, this is what we want, Vespers.
Do we need a committee for that, or can you just solicit those questions?
Yeah, just.
Quickly,
Well,
more quickly?
Can be a little formal, but I want a little formality at this point. I want whatever goes to Vesper, I want to take it seriously. It would ultimately come from the board. We would be helping the board come up with a list of questions. An outline of what.
Can you just submit
Well,
as many questions as?
It's better to get more than one person. I'm just trying to say.
Oh, I know, if you said you know those people already though, can you just call them up and say, hey, we need some questions? I don't know
Well,
why
you
we need a
get-
formal ad hoc committee for this, I
Well,
guess.
I agree, because when you get the public.
Well, I think she's asking for an advisory committee to
Everybody-
advise us with the questions that we ask.
Everybody's gonna have additional questions.
It's gonna add a questionnaire to the citizens.
Yeah, but we're already, what you're saying is already true, we're already on a hot seat.
That's my opinion, yes.
Well, I'm saying there's not time for that, but I mean, I would like them to come back and give us real numbers and not dance around the shit like they have.
I would think if they're truly interested in working with us, they would be amenable to that.
So let's ask them
So-
to,
But I do want it to be. I think we also have to show good faith as a township that meeting is with the intention of trying to figure out how we're gonna work together, I guess.
Yeah, last
yeah.
year.
Well, I mean. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get questions.
We have to bend over backwards for them. If they wanna be a partner with us, then that's another story.
I understand that, Dixie, but there's two sides to this coin. If they get a sense that we are not being good partners to them, then they don't come to the meeting, they don't give us the information that we want, and they go through the state. Like, it kind of blows my mind that it feels like that's so hard to understand. Like, we don't have any leverage here.
Well, what's hard to state, what's hard
Other-
to understand is if what you're saying is so much easier to get it through the state than it would be us, why would they even go through us? So there's more to it than what you're saying and what you know. There has to be more, because if I know this route is quicker and easier, and I'm out to make money, which is what Vesper is, I'm gonna go. this
I don't
route.
know that
This route.
I don't know that it's necessarily quicker to go through the state, I will say that.
However,
Yeah, I do think that from a business perspective, they would prefer to have a township that has said, yes, we are okay with you coming in and we are trying to work with you, rather than forcing it down our throats through the state and having everybody hate it. I mean, I'm a business owner, that would be a better
it
path
would
forward.
matter if you were the business owner, but they're gonna sell it within 2-3 years, so.
I don't know what to tell you about that.
They're not to be our buddies for 10 years.
okay. Karen, you have a question?
I have a comment about, it plays off something Kate said about this isn't really a representative group of our whole township. And as far as I know, is anybody here with a school board? Because Van Buren ISD and Bangor schools would benefit greatly if the parents
Yeah.
were aware of all of that. I think you'd be hearing some different opinions.
And about the only way out of poverty is education, so we want our kids to get a good education.
So does that benefit change? Whether they go through us or they go through the state?
It's up to the township as far as money distribution, is that what you're talking about?
To negotiate the money, I guess?
Yeah, it's
So
up
if they
to
go to the
it's
state,
all paid to the
We'll have
township,
no
and then,
negotiation.
it goes
I
to,
think either way, it's gonna go to them. The point was, they said, most of the people coming here don't want it, I think somebody said that, but I think there are people that would benefit greatly that don't even know this is going on.
the other thing is that,
Well, Bangor, they had it-
and this is, and I don't know if anybody's thought about this other than my wife and I, but all the board members live in Bloomingdale Township.
I live in Bangor.
I mean, excuse me,
School
Bloomingdale
district.
School District. Okay, what about Bangor School District? They're getting none of the money?
No,
You
they're,
got it the other way
they're
around.
set.
Bangor would get all of it, and it's right on a school district line. If they went
Okay.
down like one property,
Yeah, cause that's Bangor Township.
Bloomingdale
See,
School District
so
would
now-
get a share of,
So now isn't it the duty of the board
to
to
look
make
out
that
for the.
available
Yeah,
to the
I
rest
think
of the
so.
school district that lives in our township?
we've reached out.
And I'm looking at the community benefits agreement and it's between Vespers and the Van Buren Intermediate School District. It doesn't identify Bloomingdale or Bangor, just Van Buren County District.
ISD,
So maybe that's.
Yeah,
I don't
ISD
understand
would
it.
be either way.
Yeah.
Okay,
The public schools,
in
we
addition
have,
to the taxes.
yeah, for the taxes.
Okay, the
Yeah.
taxes go to.
So you're talking about the community.
Community benefits agreement.
Yeah.
If
And the
we go
last
work-
I heard, they said that that split could be whatever the board said.
It's only $25,000, which isn't a lot. Maybe we can negotiate more.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we have a workable,
$25,000 for a whole school district,
okay,
like, not even.
so what we,
Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, get your questions. How about we send them to Kara?
and
Clerk.
should we have a meeting scheduled for Vesper to show
Well,
up
they
on
could funnel through,
on our July meeting?
wanna get them organized and.
Whatever.
Sorry, one second.
We have 2 hearings already that day.
Complaints on.
July.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna.
Turn your complaints into the roof.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out where are we funneling all these questions so that we can have them all in one place.
Planning commission board meeting, hearing, or is the board gonna run it? I mean, I don't care. I'll do any role behind the scenes you want. My plate is full at the moment on the fire assessment stuff, and that's coming up in 2 weeks. But I'm happy to be part of a group that helps develop
Well,
a plan that we give to investors. Here's what our community wants.
Could I pop into the office or sometime this week and we can figure out the best plan on that? Look at the calendar, figure out some dates. You know what I mean? Like
you're gonna.
there's a lot of considerations to
Yeah,
factor
yeah.
in. You know,
You know, the 15th week, we already got enough hearings there, but I know about sooner than later would be better, but,
Possibly the following.
maybe the week after, the Tuesday night after, or maybe we ought to have it on a Saturday. During the day, probably get more people.
And allow for some notification.
Right.
Notification.
Right.
Just 3 weeks of
Investors
notification.
did what they did last time, let them do it. If they're willing, said they were willing to do it last week, and they did a great job of really, didn't you all get postcards in the mail?
Yeah, Jason and I will meet, we'll, put together some sort of schedule, we can get Vesper on. Jason, at the same time.
Do you want to go address?
No, isn't that? Yeah, yeah.
Good, ask him,
I mean.
ask him,
when Esper's willing to come in, they're listening to the meeting.
Only the grapevine.
Okay.
All right,
okay, we gotta move on.
thank you all.
Let's get back to the assessor's contract renewal.
Yeah, this, according to the assessor, was submitted a month or so ago. And, hasn't been on the agenda, and I don't know why that is, but, I don't make the agenda. And looking through this, the changes that were made in there are, the first one is in, number 9. When the township, contract will be available during, so recall. Property owners and township personnel within 72 hours, that was 1 business day. Which didn't really give enough time for her to get the information and stuff, so they made it a 72-hour. Timeline, which I think was fine, and I think it was discussed and approved. The other thing was, had to do with compensation. And that was, figured out as a, I think she asked for a number of percentage, and the board decided to go with a 3% raise, because that's what cost of living was at the part at that point in time, and her field reviews were $15.45 per parcel, which was a 3% increase, and the land divisions and lot line adjustments were $1.75. Excuse me, 175.
They had been 150.
And they had it as 150, so she did get, not exactly all that she was asking for, but she was comfortable with this. So. In my looking through this, I don't see anything else that needed to be reviewed. And I'm comfortable with this myself, I don't know if.
She is agreeable to this.
She's agreeable to it, I'm comfortable with it.
Did you mention
Mary has
this
looked
is
at it.
A 5-year now instead
It's
of.
5 years instead of 3. or, yeah.
Originally, the first year was
Right.
just kind of a trial
Yeah.
period, so this is 5.
Doing a great job.
Yep.
So, is there any more discussion?
No,
Good for me.
just
Then
need a
I-
motion.
Then I would move that we accept the or adopt, I should say, the agreement for the assessor service for the next, from, where is that? From,
Danielle,
yeah, but
was looking
for
for
Danielle,
dates.
from July 1 of 2025 through June 30 of 2030. As written.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call, Gary,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Ken, yes, that carried. Transfer station, information regarding costs for small building, tire containing semi-trailer,
Yep.
portage on.
Yep, I met with Chuck. I also, looked at some, small buildings because obviously the other, unit is gone from there. And, we need some place for the attendant to be able to get out of the rain, snow, whatever. I've got a couple of different, scenarios here and whatever, in this, we still got a couple months, so this isn't pressing, but it's some meat we can chew on. I got a hold of, Meyer Wood Products. In our budget, there's, I think, $10,800 that's designated for the transfer station improvements. And, we can get a 10x14. It's called a cottage building, but for $7,000 delivered and set up, pre-built, done. I've got a picture on it on my phone. If you'd like, I can send it to you.
A 10 by what?
10x14. You can get a 10x16 for about another $500 more. But it doesn't have, it's got two barn doors. You need a window so somebody can see when they're coming in the transfer station or not. This has a roll-up side door, like a garage door. It has an entrance door. It has two windows in the front. It's complete and it's delivered by delivery price is $300. So it's $7,000 delivered. Butchkin has a buddy that has some semi-trailers he wants to get rid of. We can get one delivered and set up for $1,500 for our tires. He can even jackknife it in there so that the opening is facing out. So when the conservation club people or the conservation district people come in, we can just transfer it to the same level right out of the semi-trailer. We have options on a porta-john. We can rent one, and I've got two quotes from one of them is Plumbers Portable Service in Allegan. They service this area and have a lot of them down here. The other one is Bailey Buddies Johns and Septic, which is 104th Avenue, Grand Junction. Bailey Buddies is $150 per 4 week. Both of them use 4-week intervals instead of 31 days. That's 28 days actually. So it's a 4-week period. Baylor Buddies is $150 for the 4-week period. And it's weekly, includes soap when needed, paper towels, toilet paper, deodorant. If there needs to be extra pumping, then there's an extra fee, but it's typically every week. He can get us a used one that may not be the same colors, because if something gets ruined on one, he'll take parts off that to build another one. For anywhere from $400 to $600, depending on what's in the unit. The other one is at Plumbers. They service a lot of them down here. Theirs is $120 a month. Again, 4-week period, 28 days. It includes delivery setup, pickup, weekly cleaning, pumping, out of stock, resupplies. That's for rental. Both of them. I was online, you can buy a brand spanking new one and have it delivered for about $1,000. So if we went with the 10x14 shed, for $7,000, and the semi-trailer for $1,500, and a rented porta-john at the less amount of $120, that's $9,100 $20, $9,200. We've got 10,800 sitting in the
That was our budget line item, 10,800.
10,008, that was like letter. If we buy a portage on a new one and have it delivered, you're talking $1,000, so you're talking $10,000 for the same type of equipment.
If you bought it, how much would it cost to get it pumped?
$40 a pump.
$40 a pump?
Yep, and plumbers
If you
would,
only allow the people that are working there, you wouldn't have to pump it.
well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm
That
thinking.
wouldn't be a public restroom for somebody to use.
You might not need it weekly or,
But
Well,
I'm saying,
no,
it'd be
no.
a couple, 3 weeks.
it could be on-call basis.
That's what I mean.
However,
Okay,
you have to remember, this is taxpayer money that's paying for this.
right?
So if somebody actually wants to use it, we can't say, no, it's for the intended only. It's taxpayers' money.
I,
But
Okay,
it doesn't have to be, here's your outhouse, you know. So anyway,
Doesn't have to be advertised in the public restroom.
yeah, exactly. So my thought is this, if we go with this building delivered and it's already built, it's in South Haven. You truck it over here, set it up. There's electricity there from when Butch had his trailer. We could put in a 100 amp service box in there, put a small counter in it. We don't have to insulate it until winter time. We've got $800 to $900 sitting in the budget yet. They would pay for the 100 amp service. The 12 wire we needed, we only needs about 3 circuits in there.
well,
I've
we're
got-
already partway into our fiscal year, so we wouldn't need a full 12 months rental.
Right.
So-
Right. Well, see, at $120 a month, in 9 months, you pretty much paid for a brand new one.
Yeah,
I'm
but it just
saying-
might be a mess to have to figure out how to pump it. If you just had a contract and they came and did it, I don't know.
Oh,
I-
no, plumbers would do that. Even if you don't buy it from them, they will service.
No, I know, I'm just saying, it's kind of like maybe that's the type of thing you just want to not own.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know.
That's the board decision. I'm just got information.
$40 pump, that's just pumping it out too, so you still have to provide them with toilet papers and stuff like that.
No, they say they furnish that.
When they pump it out, when you buy your own, they still furnish that?
Gosh, for $50.
That I didn't ask. They said they would pump it. Now, whether they, yeah, maybe that,
So the township would have to buy
that,
toilet papers and all this
That-
stuff
that's
on top of
possible.
that if you bought your own.
That- that's possible.
So I mean, like what he's saying, is probably the best route would be at 100.
yeah, no,
My only question is, should we try to do a contract with a local business in Grand Junction rather than Allegan? Let's keep the dollars in the township,
Keep the local with our own.
right? It's a little more, I get it, but it's our own local business.
Maybe you'll come down.
he
I mean, that was
does,
his quote, you didn't go back and say, well, I can get it this, you just. I mean,
I'm
You
sorry?
didn't dicker
you
yet.
didn't dicker yet.
Oh, no.
That's what
Well,
I'm saying, he may come down,
the
so.
only dicker and I asked him is, do you sell good used ones? He says, I won't tell you exactly what he said, but he said, I have some that are a little ratty, but he said, I could put together a pretty nice one. And he mentioned one township that he did that for, I can't remember where it was local. But then he would charge, I think it's $60, it's $60 a pump and wash. Then we
Pump
don't,
and wash, he's putting stuff in it.
yeah. That's a board decision. I just say we have money, we have money to take.
Because there's no facilities out there.
Here's what I would suggest. I guess I'm prepared to make a motion. We have the money in the budget. You've got the pieces parts that line up for less than that amount. Could we make a motion to approve purchase of the house and the trailer? And then you go back and maybe negotiate with the Grand Junction guy, see if he'll come down at all, but like,
I've been working with the conservation. And they've been telling me they're gonna build us a pole barn.
oh,
Yeah, when's gonna?
Well, I'm not sure when Gonna is, but I.
Is that for the tires?
Huh?
Or that would be for the tires, or would that be for
That'd
an
be
independent?
a good sized building to pretty much, have renewable,
Have a little office, is what you're
Recycling.
talking about.
yeah, I've been talking to her and she was talking this year they were gonna do it, and then she just told me next year they're gonna do it, so. I'm not sure what, but I'd really like to talk to her before we go spend money if we could get it done for nothing. I'd also like to talk to Trevor because, a 10x14 for the amount of money you're talking is $500 per square foot, and that's a lot per square foot for a building.
We're unfinished. It's unfinished inside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, way a
That's what
lot
I'm
of
saying,
money.
it's unfinished inside
Yeah.
too, so that is kind of.
So,
That's cool. I just think, I think to your point, we need to
I
do
think
something.
we looked at all
They're gonna
this
be
stuff.
out there in
I
the
think it
rain
sounds
and.
Great.
But even
I
that,
did-
they
it's
have
this
no
other
place to
stuff.
go to the bathroom. They
But-
shop there for everybody else.
I would just like time to check.
I don't disagree with that at all, but we gotta, I mean, we can get this done before the snow flies. Now, whether the conservation district's gonna be able to build this building for us before then,
We'll put this back on for next month. Just
I-
give,
let's
give,
get-
me-
can we
give
get
me
the
30
porta
days,
john going?
I'm
Can
sorry.
we get the porta john going and get that out there? That's a
We can-
separate
we
issue,
can-
right?
I have no problem with the porta john going out there.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay,
So I'll call Baylor back tomorrow. And see what kind of a deal he can give us.
Even if it gets close, at least like you said, use the local.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think.
So your motion is gonna be for the porta potty?
Well, his mailing address is.
yeah, yes. Do we need that motion even though it's in the budget?
What's the money? Yeah.
Okay, all right. I make a motion to, secure a porta john at the transfer station based on Gary's follow-up conversation with whoever the guy is in Grand Junction. If he can get a better rate, great. But as far as I'm concerned, you can just make that contract through the end of the year rather than a 12-month contract.
Yeah, yeah, well, he doesn't have a minimum on here, but I'm sure he probably, we'll
Do
talk.
the local guy if possible.
Right.
That's what I'm saying,
Right.
yes, in the motion.
Right,
Probably just an open contract.
could be.
Got a second? I'll second it. Roll call vote, Jason,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Ken, yes. So took care of transfer station, took care of assessor. Public comment. Everyone's
Thank you
leaving.
for coming.
See you next month.
No public comment?
Comment about.
You're done, exhausted?
I've got just a little bit. I did see that there was an ad and a reminder for the transfer station for Tuesday nights. But I have not seen the transfer station manager. I thought that position was temporary for now, and I have not seen any ad for that anymore.
That was.
I thought you guys said it was like 90 days or something.
That was, right,
That was supposed to be advertised, and I
That's
don't
right.
think it ever has been.
Hmm.
Well,
I sent one out,
You sent it to the clerk,
correct.
but I don't think it got anywhere.
I didn't see it in a reminder.
And I don't think it's on the web.
I asked if you, I think I asked somebody if they wanted me to go ahead and make it happen. Didn't I say that?
Yeah, but
Nobody, and then I never heard anything about making it happen.
well, yeah, then you didn't read my email. Because I said I want to hear back from any tweaking or
Oh, yeah.
on
Look
this
at it
before it's actually sent to the publisher.
I thought that it went to Kara. I thought the email was to Kara to do that, not me.
And you said, if you want me to do it, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And I responded to you saying, I want to hear from the other board members and see if there's gonna be any changes
Did you hear
before.
from them?
No,
I'm sorry you did not hear from me, Gary.
so I sent,
Okay, well, that's why I didn't, I would have done it. I mean, I was ready to go with what you said. I liked it.
no, that's what I sent to Kara. So it'll be
But at
done.
this point, though, it didn't happen. She's not here. Do you want Ken to publish it?
Do you want me to make it happen?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you, Gary.
Make it happen, Captain.
I will. I'll do that tonight before I go to bed. 3 weeks?
Yep.
And it should wind up on our website too.
So.
Don't run off. Okay, we done? I just gave my agenda away. We did public comment.
Is there any correspondence or announcements? That's what would be next.
I have none. Close the meeting?
Board comments, do they have any?
Yeah, board comment. Jason, any comment?
I'm commented out too.
I'm done
Gary?
with the, no, just with.
I would say it was a very, interesting discussion tonight. I think it, very beneficial. So with that, I'm closing the meeting at, 9:20, what?
Looks like 9:22.
22.
9:22.
What's in my computer?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now that you have the face to the name, because I've never met you in person. Erica Kuipers.
Yep, nice meeting you.
In your opinion, are all the issues coming from the one address you mentioned?
Yep.
Okay, well, I heard some other mention of, oh, well, there's people living in trailers and no septic. like-
That's around their neck of the woods.
Okay.
I am, right there at
It's on top,
the satellite.
on
On top, where am I missing it? That little switch right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's literally right next door, the person that I'm talking about, and they, every day, it's the same. It's either they're burning their trash, or they're making loud noises first thing in the morning, or
That,
they're doing,
money that I budgeted.
they're out there yelling.
You guys want this off too?
So it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's something that